ललिता श्रीशाखान्सुतंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभय एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधारा श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम राम
राम राम
हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you everybody for joining for everyday Bhagavad Gita class. Every evening we have the class on this channel at 7 p.m. 7 to 8 p.m. And as most of us are aware that we are discussing the 15th chapter. We have recently completed our 14th chapter last week, and we have come to 15th chapter entitled The Yoga of the Supreme Person. So we'll try to discuss that. Before that, I would like to take the blessings of all of the assembled Vaishnavas. Please bless me. Hare Krishna. So let me quickly share my screen so that we can read the words for today. Okay, I think the people should be able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we'll discuss, today we are discussing chapter 15 and verse number 3 and 4 combined. So I'll say and please recite after me. Na rupam ashesha tatho apalabhyatehe.
न रूपम् अश्येह ततोपलभ्यते
Nanto na chadhe na chaha sampratishtah.
नान्तो न चादे न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा
Ashvataham enam suvriudhamulam.
अश्वत्थम् एनं सविरुद्धमूलम्
Asangha shastrena didena chitvaha.
असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा
तथा पदं तत् परिमार्गितावहम्.
तथा पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम्
यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूया.
यस्मिन् गता न निवृत्तन्ति भूया
तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये.
तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये
यता प्रवृत्ति प्रविष्टपुराणी.
यथा प्रवृत्ति प्रविष्टपुराणी
नारूपमशेष तथोपलभ्यते.
रूपम् अशेय तथोपलभ्यते
नान्तो न चादे न चः सम्प्रतिष्ठः.
नान्तो न चादे न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा
अश्वत्थम् एनं सुविरूढमूलम्.
अश्वत्थम् एनं सुविरुद्धमूलम्
असङ्गा शस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वः.
असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा
तथा पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम्.
तथा पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम्
यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूया.
यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूया
तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये.
तम् एव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये
यथा प्रवृत्ति प्रविष्टपुराणी.
यथा प्रवृत्ति प्रशिष्टा पुराणे
नारूपमशेष ततोपलभ्यते.
Narupam Asheya Tathopalabhyate
Upalabhyate.
Nanto न चादे न चाह संप्रतिष्ठा
Nanto
Nanto
Ade
Nasha
Nacha
Nacha
Sampratishta
Sampradishta.
अश्वत्थम् एनं सुविरुद्धमूलम्
Aswatam Evam Shuviruddhamulam
Lam
असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वः
Asanga
Asangashastreena
Shastrena
Dradena Chitva.
तथा पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम्
Tata
Tata
Padam Tat
Tat Parimargitavyam
Kitavyam.
यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूय
Yasmin
Gatana Nivratanti
Bhuya
Bhuya.
तम् एव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये
Eva Chadyam Purusham Prapatye.
यता प्रवृत्ति प्रविष्टपुराणी
Yatha
Yata
Pravati
Pravati Prasishta
Prasata
Purani
Anyone would like to recite the verse?
Narupam Asyeha Tatopalabhyate.
न रूपमस्येह
Tato
ततोपलभ्यते
Palabhyate
Namto Nachadir Nacha Sampratishtha.
Nanto
नान्तो न
Nachari
चादिर्न च
Nacha Sampratishta
सम्प्रतिष्ठः
Ashvatam Enam Suviruddhamulam.
Aswatam
अश्वत्थम् एनं
Enam Suviruddhamulam
सुविरूढमूलम्
Asangashastreena Dradena Chitva.
Asham
असङ्गशास्त्रेण
Shastrena
दृढेन
Dridena
चित्वः
Chitva
Tatha Padam Tat Parimargitavyam.
तथा
Tat
पदं
Padam Tat Parimargitavyam
तत्परिमार्गितव्यम्
Yasmin Gathana Nivratanti Bhuya.
Yasmin
यस्मिन् गता न
Gatana Nivartanti
निवर्तन्ति
Bhuya
भूय
Tam Eva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye.
Tam
तम्
Eva
एव
Chadyam
चाद्यं
Purusham
पुरुषं
Prapatye
प्रपद्ये
Yatha Pravratti Prasrata Purani.
यथा प्रवृत्ति प्रतिष्ठा पुराणी. Anyone else would like to recite the verse? Okay, so if no one else, then we'll go word to word translation. Na,
No,
not.
not
Rupam,
Rupam,
the form.
the form.
Asya,
Asya
of this tree.
of this tree.
Iha,
Iha
in this world.
in this
In this
world.
Tataha,
Tataha
also.
also
Upalabhyate,
upalabhyate
can be perceived.
can be perceived.
Na,
Na,
never.
never,
Anta,
anta,
end.
and
Na,
na,
never.
never,
Cha,
cha,
also.
also.
Adi,
Adi,
beginning.
beginning.
Na,
Na,
never.
never,
Cha,
cha,
also.
also.
Sampratishta,
Sampratishta,
the foundation.
the foundation.
Ashwattham,
Ashwatam,
banyan tree.
banyan tree.
Enam,
Enam,
this.
this.
Suvirudha,
To be durata,
strongly.
strongly.
Moolam,
Moolam,
rooted.
rotate.
Asanga shastrena,
Akangashatyana,
by the weapon of the detachment.
the weapon of the detachment.
Dridena,
Didina,
strong.
strong.
Chitva,
Chitva,
cutting.
cutting.
Tataha,
Tata,
thereafter.
thereafter.
Padam,
Padam,
situation.
situation,
tat,
tad,
that,
that,
parimargitavyam,
parimargitavyam,
has to be searched out.
has to be searched out.
Yasmin,
Yasmin,
where,
where,
gata,
gata,
going,
going,
na,
na,
never,
never,
nivartanti,
nivartante,
they come back.
they come back.
Bhuya,
Bhuya,
again,
again,
tam,
tam,
to him,
to him,
eva,
eva,
certainly,
certainly,
cha,
ta,
also,
also,
adyam,
adyam,
original,
original,
purusham,
purusham,
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of Godhead,
prapadye,
prapadye,
surrender,
the sender,
yataha,
yata,
from whom,
from whom,
pravitti,
praviti,
the beginning,
the beginning,
parishtaha,
pashta,
extended,
extended,
purani,
purani,
very old.
very old.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll read the translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. It is now clearly stated that the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Since the root is upwards, the extension of the real tree is at the other end. When entangled with the material expansion of the tree, one cannot see how far the tree extends, nor can one see the beginning of this tree. Yet one has to find out the cause. I am the son of my father is the son of such and such person, etc. By searching in this way, one comes to Brahma, who is generated by the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Finally, in this way, when one reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the end of research work. One has to search out that origin of this tree. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the association of persons who are in knowledge of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then by understanding, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality. And by knowledge, one can cut off the connection and actually become situated in the real tree. The word asangha is very important in this connection because the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording it over the material nature is very strong. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussing of spiritual science based on authoritative scriptures. And one must hear from persons who are actually in knowledge. As a result of such discussion, in the association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the first thing one must do is surrender to Him. The description of that place, whence, having gone, one never returns to this false reflected tree is given here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original root from whom everything has emanated. To gain the favor of that Personality of Godhead, one has only to surrender. And this is a result of performing devotional service by hearing and chanting, etc. He is the cause of the extension of the material world. This has already been explained by the Lord Himself. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the origin of everything. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of this strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extinction. Jai Prabhupada. So we'll try to understand here as you're discussing from the last 2 days. So I'll just stop sharing my screen since we have read the verse. So here we are reading from the last 2 days and we are trying to understand what is this tree. And Krishna is comparing, actually, what is this tree? Krishna is comparing this banyan tree as this material world. So, and Prabhupada also mentioned in earlier verse, right? We have never seen a tree here in our real life that is upside down. But there is one place where Prabhupada mentions that if we go near to the bank of the lake or river where you see the reflection, so that reflection of the tree is upside down. So what Krishna is trying to explain in these couple of verses from 1 to 6 is that there is this material world is compared to that tree. So if you have seen that tree, right, reflection in the bank, so if you see that sometime Mayavadis, they say that okay, there is no variegatedness in this in this spiritual world, but Krishna is clearly explaining this is just the reflection. So this material world is just a reflection of the spiritual world. There is some other some other world apart from this material world. And if you see the reflection, if let's say if it's a mango tree reflection, if you see the mango inside the water, then definitely there would be nice nice sweet mango in the real tree. So this also refutes the Mayavadi philosophy, saying that there is no variegatedness. Even the variegatedness in the spiritual world is very very higher than this material world. So here we understand that whatever we see the reflection, that has to be there in the original. Like as I've given the example of the tree which we see in the reflection, the mango, it has to be there in the tree, and that you see the real sweet mango. And we'll discuss the points from the purport of Srila Prabhupada. So here Prabhupada says, first point, Prabhupada mentions that this banyan tree, it cannot be understood. So it's very difficult to understood. So if somebody remembers from yesterday when we were having the discussion, we have these couple of things, right? The branches of this tree, this upside down tree where the roots are on the top. So that is called the Brahmaloka, the planet, upward planet. And these branches are different planetary system. And its root in the earlier verses, it has been mentioned that the root starts from the topmost planet Brahma, and its twigs are the sense objects. This analogy has been given, and the leaves of these trees are called Vedic hymns, the flowery language of the Vedas, and the tip of the branches are called the senses. We have different senses. So these were a couple of things need to be noted about this reflected tree of this material world. So here it has been mentioned by Prabhupada, this is very, very difficult to understand this banyan tree because we do not see, right? We do not see Brahmaloka. We do not see where it started, where it is ending. And we were just going up and down, right? Brahman Brahmite. So we are just going up and down in this tree. That is a false reflection. That is a reflection of the spiritual world. So, but Prabhupada also mentions, even though we are not able to find, and it's very difficult to understand, but what is our business? Our business is to find out the root cause. So how we are finding out the root cause? There is a root cause of everything. If I am there, my father, mother will be there. So if other person is there, so his father, mother, or him, her father, mother will be there. So like that. So son of such and such, right? So Prabhupada mentions here that my father is the son of such and such, and his father also. So my grandfather will be the father of such and such. And you think how this material world is, even though we might not know the grandfather's fathers, I do not know. So we don't know, and if we know, we just know in the name, we cannot see. So we should understand that these are just name. After the some time, it's how temporary our lifespan, current lifespan is, that it ends. Because let's say 70 years, right? So you spend 70 years of that time in that particular current body, and then who is your father, who is your mother, you just forget everything. How you forget? Because you are just out of the body, so soul is out of the body. So in this connection, I am remembering a nice pastime just it came into my mind. So Chitraketu Maharaj, it's in there in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Chitraketu Maharaj has he did not have any son. So he prayed, I think Angira Muni, I have read it quite a long back. So I think he prayed to one of the rishi, and he wanted to have a son. That rishi has told him that that is not in your destiny, so you will not have a son. But he was so much morose that he do not have any son. He wanted it anyhow. So even though he had, it has been mentioned that he has millions of wives, but it was not destined him to have a son. So so rishi arranged. So he said, okay, if you are saying, so what I will do, I will give you a son. That son will be the cause of your happiness and your distress as well. So the son name was Harsha Shoka. So Harsha means happiness and Shoka means lamentation. So I think first queen, her name was Kriyaduti, I think, because I haven't revised the past time. So she got the son after he got blessing from the rishi. She conceived a son, and all the other queens were very much envious of this queen, because the king has more attraction now towards this wife, and they were getting so much envious in the heart that one day, because see, once we get envy in our heart, once we get jealous towards other person, then we cannot discriminate, our intelligence get lost, and they have poisoned the sun. So this is a small child, and they were so much polluted because of their envy and jealous towards the other queen, that they have, do not even think they what they are doing. They have poisoned the child, little child, I think maybe around 5-6 years he was. So and then the parents came to know Chitraketu and this queen, Chitraketu's first queen, and they were so much lamenting about the son's death. So as Angira Muni, the Muni was already, he has told that he'll be the cause of your distress and happiness. So that time, I think Narada Muni came with the other rishis. So two saintly person, they came, and Narada Muni, because he's sometimes called Bhagwan, because he can also see the future. So he's so much elevated because of his position, being a Narad Muni, being a pure devotee of Krishna or Vishnu. So he had the ability to bring back this son alive. So he just put his hand on the head of this dead child, and he just said, why have you left? So the soul, for some time, the soul of that particular child came back into the body of this child, and he spoke what he said, which mother and father, he clearly said. And there the parents are lamenting. So he said that which parents, and which parents you're talking about? I have had millions of lifetime. I am not sure which parents you're talking about. So that time, Chitraketu Maharaj and his queen, they got the knowledge of self-realization, because this child told that we come to we born as a son or daughter of somebody in some life, and then if when we are out of this body, we are identifying some other, uh, either it will be animal, it will be bird, it will be beast, it will be any, so many millions, it will be fish, whale, whatever species of life. So we are identifying with other souls as our mother and father of other living, other material bodies. So like let's say human being. So he said, I had have millions, I don't know which mother and father you're talking about. So that's how when this son was brought back into the life for some time, because of Narada's Muni uh, you know touching his head and saying this, because they wanted to give the spiritual knowledge of self-realization to Chitraketu Maharaj. After that, he became a pure devotee, great devotee of Krishna. So then they understood, right? Because as it has been already told that he is not being destined, but he was so much enamored by having a son. And later on, he understood that if that something is not destined, then they cannot get it. So here, if we see, we are also identifying with our mother and father, or our daughter, our son. But how long we can identify with them as a mother and father? we have to see all these children or our mother and father in relation to Krishna. If Krishna is not in the center, then our identification is completely wrong. So here why I have mentioned, because it has been mentioned, Prabhupada is mentioning. So it's father, then fathers, 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 fathers. But you know how many generation we know? We just know maybe our grandfather, or maybe somebody know grandfathers, grandfathers. After that, we doesn't know. But when we go ahead, so we know that Brahma is the first jiva, or the first living entity born from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So Krishna, when he expands to Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu again expand to Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and he go into each and every universe created by the breath of Mahavishnu. So because Mahavishnu expands to go to in this universe, and when Garbhodakshai Vishnu goes, from Garbhodakshai Vishnu's stomach, there comes a lotus flower, and from there born Brahma. So Brahma is sometimes called Swayambhuva, Swayambhuva, because he is born by like in the lotus flower. So that's why it's called that. So here we understand, right? So Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and then Garbhodaksha Vishnu again expand, and he becomes a Shirodaksha Vishnu. So Shirodaksha Vishnu is the form which is lying in our heart, in each and every jiva that is there as in Paramatma. So here finally Prabhupada says, so Brahma's father, who is the Brahma's father? So Krishna says one verse, I do not recollect the verse, but Krishna says, I am the father, I am the mother, and I am the grandfather. So Krishna is basically called Pitamaha. He's the father of Brahmas also, right? Because he is born from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So we should know what is the root. So finally, in this way, Prabhupada is mentioning that we reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna is Sarva Karana Karanam. There is some Asamma Urdhava. There is no one greater than or equal to Krishna. So there we reach, and that who is that Supreme Personality of Godhead? That is Krishna. So Prabhupada says that our research work of finding the root, it ends there. So Prabhupada also mentioning that one has to search out the origin of this tree. So this origin of this tree, let's say, how do you see the reflection? So if there is a mirror, and if there is nobody in front of the mirror, do you see anything there? No. But as soon as you come or you get something in front of the mirror, so you see the reflection of that. So if there is a reflection, then there must be original. So that origin of the tree, so how this reflected tree is coming, there must be a original tree. So that original tree is the spiritual word Goloka Vrindavan Dham. And here it has been mentioned how you come about that knowledge. I have seen Prabhupada mentions in multiple purport of Bhagavad Gita that unfortunately, people are so much engrossed in their life that they do not even know that there is a spiritual word existing, because we do not read Prabhupada's book, and we do not know that what is the reality of the life and what is the goal of life. So there is a spiritual word, but most of the people are not aware that, okay, there is a spiritual world, we have to endeavor to go there, because we do not belong to this world. So all this knowledge comes, how this knowledge comes? Through the association of the person who are in the knowledge. So how we get this knowledge, right? When we have associated with the devotees, then devotees might have told us that, okay, there is a spiritual word, or they have given us a book of Prabhupada which we started reading, and then we came to the knowledge. And then if we have some question, we reach to the senior person, senior devotees like Pyare Prabhuji, Mataji, or any other senior Vaishnavas in our community. So with the association of the person who are in the knowledge, we get the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So association is very important. Prabhupada always mentioned that association is that much important, that whatever you associate with, you get the qualities of those. So let's say if somebody want to become drunkard, he doesn't have to endeavor anything. He just go and associate with the person who are drunkard, who are, who cannot live with, and he or she will gradually see with the association that they are getting those qualities of those person whom they are associating. So association here, as Prabhupada is mentioning, that we should get this knowledge from the person who has this knowledge. And who has this knowledge? The devotees, senior Vaishnavas. Here this is ISKCON, the very beautiful society established by Srila Prabhupada, and we recently also celebrated the, I think, 55th anniversary of ISKCON, right? It was on 14th July. So Prabhupada incorporated in July way back in 1966. So I think 54th anniversary. So so this association, you get the people who know about Krishna and who are trying to know about Krishna, so they can tell you what is this material world and how we can get out of this material world. And here because this is a false reflection, so if you see the mango in the tree, reflected tree in the water, but if you want to grab that and eat that, can you do that? That will be foolishness. So if we want to try that, so in that connection also, I remembering one of the story, and I think that is very much appropriate here. I have heard it long back from Lal Govind Prabhu. He was giving some other lecture, I can't recollect, but it was a way back. So what he mentions, he mentions this story that there is a king and he has a queen. So this queen, she has a very beautiful necklace, and very expensive necklace, and she was wearing, and she was outside of our patio, or the balcony, we say, right? So she was there, and some big bird came, and that bird has snatched this necklace, and this queen was so much attached to this necklace. And then she was crying, and then she told the king that she want that. So but the king told that, okay, I can get you the another one, the same like that, but sometimes the behavior, right? She was very stubborn, and she wanted the same necklace which she was wearing. So then the king, he called all his ministers, and he said, he ordered that if you search this necklace, I will give you, I think, half of the kingdom or one fourth of the kingdom, like that. And then this person, they start searching, because everyone would want to take that part of the kingdom, or the reward that will be there after they will search this necklace. So they all the people of the village, they started searching, and they started searching and searching. And then later on, I think they were searching in some of the mud or water. Some of the person have seen the necklace there, and then they started searching there. And this king also, when he came to know that this they have seen the necklace in this mud or the water, then he also came there to search. But one saintly person came, and he was wondering why so many people, what they are searching for in this pond or in this water body. So he also saw the king also. So king was also see so much attached that he was thinking that if somebody else get, I have to give him my half kingdom or one fourth of the kingdom, whatever was the reward was. So he started searching by himself in the water. So he's so much attached, even though was king. So then this saintly person said, you people are so foolish that you see the necklace is right there. It was hanging on one of the branch of the tree, and the person who has only seen the reflection of that necklace. And one person, with this stupidity, he said that he has seen, and all the people started searching. But as soon as he jumped into that water, the reflection, it went away. But the saintly person said, but these person or this king are no one else than us, because they are also trying to search the happiness in this material world, that is just a reflection. We are not going to get a real happiness in this material world. So this small story depicts our king, and the person are no one else than us, because it depicts our story, because we are also trying to search a happiness which is never entitled. Because Krishna says, how this word is, it is dukhalayam asashvatam. It has been certified by Krishna as dukhalayam asashvatam. So how can we get a real happiness in this world? That we have to understand. And also Prahlad Maharaj, he says a very nice words, right? So he says in 7th canto 9th chapter 25 verse, I would like to read the translation of that. So what does Prahlad Maharaj says? In this material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, right? So every one of us, we can identify with this verse. Every one of us is desiring to get some future happiness. But will there be? Are we sure 100%? So which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. So that is like a mirage. So it never going to happen. Where is a water in the desert, or in other words, so there is no water, but it looks like that there is some water. Or in other word, where is happiness in this material world? So there is no happiness in this material world actually. As for this body, what is its value? It is merely a source of various disease. So Prahlad Maharaj speaks so many nice verses, right? He's saying that what is the value of this body? It is simply a source of various diseases. So this body can give us millions of times of distress, then it can give us happiness. And that is, if you think that with the sense enjoyment we are going to get happiness, that is our first mistake. Why? Because that happiness which we get out of sense gratification, that is our very enemy, because it is going to bind us to the bodily conception of life. So as soon as it is going to bind us to the bodily conception of life, we are going to come back again in this false reflection, or in this false tree that is identified as a banyan tree, a reflection, as Krishna has given this metaphor and analogy. So it is merely a source of various disease. The so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well, but nonetheless they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness. So Prahlad Maharaj is clearly saying this is what? This is a so-called happiness. This is not at all happiness. As I've already explained, that happiness which we think because of sense enjoyment or sense gratification we are getting, that is our very source of the, what you call, very source of the distress that's going to come in future by enjoying our senses, if we think that is a happiness you're getting. So they run after the so-called happiness of the material world and never come to the right conclusion. So people who do not surrender to Krishna, or who do not associate with the devotees, they do not understand, they do not come to the right conclusion that there is no happiness in this material world. They try to improve their situation materialistically. So let's say earlier there was no vehicles to travel, all right, so they used to have um, the animals will be taking the bullock, like bullock carts, like that. So and then it has been invented, this cars or this vehicles has been invented. So people will be thinking that okay, we have done so much of advancement. Earlier they were thinking this is the best invention which has been done. But later on, when we know that the global warming came, this pollution. So when we try to solve, we have to understand, when we try to solve the problem of this material world, it will it gets solved for temporary, but that will also get a misery with it. So what is the problem with this vehicle? If some person, he has a nice car, is having a very big car, a nice car, he goes at any time, if he is driving very nicely, very safely, but at any time other car or other truck can hit that car or anybody's else, right? So it is not. So we have to understand that this problem which we are trying to solve is getting another risk. So another risk is that it can be involved anytime in the accident. So many statistics which shows that how many people die in accident. It's just we hear, we don't know how we're gonna die. So it might be accident, it might be heart attack, it might be anything, we don't know. Nobody knows how we're gonna depart from this world. So that is what. So here Prahlad Maharaj clearly says that there is no material happiness in this, there is no happiness in this material world, and it is just our body is not, if we think that it can give us various enjoyments, but that is wrong, because it gives us various diseases. We all know that, and if we do not know, I think we'll know after a few years. Just give the few years, then we can start seeing in our body how it gives us so many distress, right? Jara vyadhi, janma mrityu jara vyadhi. So here now this we have discussed the first paragraph of Srila Prabhupada, and now we'll read from the second one. So the word asanga. So here it has been said that asanga shastrena dredena chitva. So we have to culminate detachment, right? So asanga means we have to culminate the detachment. Asanga shastrena. So how the tree has been cut, right? Through the X. So we have to also cut this reflection of this tree. So we cannot, what we cannot do, we cannot destroy completely this tree, this material world, this reflection tree. But what we can do, we can detach ourselves. So if I would like to give you example, so if you a prisoner is there, right, he cannot destroy the prison or he cannot close the prison, but he can definitely with his good behavior can change the sentence of his, let's say if he has got a imprisonment of 10 years, so he can maybe reduce it to 5 years by his good behavior, or he behave very nicely, and the jailer think that okay, this person is well behaved, he is good, he can go out. Similarly, we are also in the prison of this material world. So we cannot destroy this material world as such that completely, but we can definitely detach from this reflection of this tree, because this tree is just a reflection. It is not a real tree, and we are not going to get a real happiness, as we cannot eat that mango which we are seeing in the reflection. If we go in the water and try to run behind that mango, we cannot get that. We have to get that mango from the real tree that is situated in the bank of the river or pond. So the word asangha is very important in this connection, because attachment of sense. So why this detachment, cultivating detachment is very difficult, because our attachment is very strong. So whenever attachment of sense enjoyment, we want to enjoy our senses to the fullest extent, so that is the problem. But what we have to do, we have to, because we have a tendency to control, to lord it over into the material nature is very strong, so that detachment is very difficult to culminate. But when we associate with the person who are detached from this material world, then we will be able to culminate that detachment. And also and that what we are doing, we are trying to attach to those persons who are detached from this material world. Means we are trying to attach with the Satam Prasarang Mama video, right? So I completely don't remember that verse, but that verse says, Kapila Muni says that if you attach to the devotees or to a saintly person, you will open the door of liberation. But if you attach to the materialistic people or serve materialistic people, then you will open the door for the hell. So when we are getting attached to the person who are detached from this material world, I mean, detached means they are there in the world, but they are detached from the heart. They know what is the true reality, and they try to work in that particular goal. So let's say east or west, right? So east is kind of going towards Krishna, and west is kind of the materialistic way of life. We have to get attached to the right set of people. So then we can, and we also know that this detachment will not come in a day or so, because our attachment is so strong. Millions of lifetime we are lording it over here in the material world. We get detachment when we endeavor. Chitva, dridena chitva. So that word has been used. So dridena means determination. With the determination, we have to cut down. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussion. So how we culminate this detachment? By discussion, right? So we discuss with the devotees about the spiritual sciences, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, very, very nice verse and pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and they just open our eyes, right? Om Jnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. So Timirandasya, this material word is actually called the word of darkness. So, and Krishna also in 15.6, he says what is that word where we have to go, what is that real tree. So he says, na tad bhashate shuryo na sashanka na pavaka yat gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Krishna have already explained about this his spiritual word in 8th chapter, also in I think 2-3 verses. And he also again says that and he also says in 4.9 janma karma cha devyam, there also he says yat gatva na nivartante. So here we understand that tree, that real tree we have to grab, not the reflection. So we now currently our situation is we are trying to get happiness from this false reflection of the tree. We are trying to get that mango from that false reflection. So therefore, it has been mentioned that we have to discuss this spiritual subject matter. We have to hear from the person who are in actually knowledge. And by this, so if we should not become discouraged, utsat nishcha dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat shabdir bhaktir prasiddhati. So Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami says this verse. He says, Ussat Nishchat, we have to do our devotional service with enthusiasm, and we have to, Asha Banda Samutkanta. We have to have that faith that Krishna will show his mercy. Asha Banda, so devotee, when he has the symptoms, he is right. Asha Banda Samutkanta. So he has that lalsa, and we should have that greediness. So greed to achieve this spirituality, right? It's very difficult to attain something in this material world. So the attaining the eternal, there is some hard work, there is something we have to do, and we have to culminate austerity, we have to do so many things to gain the eternity, right? Gain the false, not gain the true tree of the spiritual world. So that we have to endeavor for. So here it has been mentioned that Asha Banda Samutkanta means he is very eager. He is no Asha Banda. He is very much in hope that Krishna will shower his mercy. But we have to perform our devotional service with dhairya, with the patience and enthusiasm. So we are not detached today, but we will certainly get attached because we are associating with the person who are opening the door of liberation for us. So and what we have to do, we have to surrender. So Krishna also says, if you see the last two lines of this verse, he says that to that, he says we have to surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's telling himself as a third person, but we know in 15.6 he will say that he's referring in this verse as himself as a third person. So from whom, he says, Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began. So we know 10th chapter we have read, right? Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So that verse is very, very famous, 10.8. But that verse says, and Prabhupada also quoted one of the line in this purport also. He says that this word, everything, Krishna says everything spiritual or material, whatever comes from him, and whoever wise who knows that he will surrender to him, he will worship him with all their heart. So because when we know everything is coming from Krishna and nothing, this material world is temporary, then what is there in this material world? We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam so many prayers, right? So as Prahlad Maharaj also said, there is no happiness in this material world. So what we are searching for, and yesterday Jiva Mataji was also saying this, and Pyare Prabhu, they were giving class, and they said that because this is not real, then why we are investing our so much time to attain something that is not, at the end we will go like this, right? We came, when we are born, everybody, when they are born like, even the child, they born naked, they do not get even the cloth, and we are not going to take anything. When our body will get burned, maybe we'll have one set of clothes, that's it. We don't have anything, we are not taking anything from here. We are going like that. We'll not have our favorite jewelries also. So we have to see how much we have to get attached to these things. So if we get attached to these things, then we have to come back again. Unless we uh, culminate or we cultivate this detachment from this material world, how we gonna attach? So one more thing is there, when we associate with the devotees, and we start performing this Navvidha bhakti, that is 9 limbs of devotional service: hearing, chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Tasya Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. This verse also being spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. And then we start get attaching to Krishna. So Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janatyasi Vairagyam Jnana Chad Ahetukam. So when we start focusing on our devotional service to Vasudeva Krishna, then we automatically get detached. We get detachment. So because we think, if we start performing, right, after 6 months, let's say if you chant continuously for 6 months, 16 rounds, if somebody is not chanting, if they start chanting some rounds, maybe 8 rounds, so then they see gradually they can evaluate themselves. There is no other person to get anyone evaluated. So you chant and you see the difference after the 6 months. What person were you? The same person what you were in the 6 months before? You will notice that something which were not you know important in the life, which we give so much importance. We give so much importance to watch TV. We give so much importance to go to the mall or waste our time maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, and that is kind of the natural life, because we do not know what is actually the natural. This Krishna Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhu Kabinoy Shravanadi Karyo Udoy. So this verse is from Chaitanya Chaitamrita, which mentioned that Krishna's love in our heart, in any living entity's heart, it is not imposed. So if somebody think that American or European, or how can they become Vaishnavas? This is something Hindu culture. No, this is every living entity. Mamo Amshi Jiva Loki. Every living entity is a part of Krishna, and these designation we have given. I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm this and that. But every living entity has the love of Krishna in their heart, and how that love will come to the surface, because it has been it is not something given outside. Nitya Krishna is Krishna Prem Sadhu Kabinoy. It is not given from outside. It has been there. We have to bring it to the surface so that we understand. So that is our natural position. But what is happening now, our natural position is wasting our time watching TV, doing so many things which is not even what's going to happen. Even if we go back and think, if somebody, if they might be so attached to the TV or to some TV serial, everybody can identify with that. It's not something I am making it out. So how much time have we wasted, and what we have got? If some serial is coming, she is doing that, he is doing this, that, what's going to happen if we are not watching that? Nothing. The word is not going to stop, but it is our attachment, strong attachment, that we want to, okay, what happened to this episode 71, 72, 73? That is so much of stupidity actually we have, I have also done. So all the people of this world is doing so, but we chant and we see the difference. In 6 months we will see that how we can change our attachment to the false and temporary. We go to the eternal. We get little bit more attachment to Krishna. So we want to perform the things which will take me closer to Krishna. All those things, they are not going to take you anywhere. Is that cinema star is going to take you? So all these things are just because we are being born like that. So we watch TV, we go to the school, we do our homework, we watch TV, like that we have been born. So that habit we need to change. At least when we get the spiritual knowledge, we have to start thinking about it. So here I would like to stop, and as Krishna and Prabhupada is saying that we have to surrender to that person. And I think we have covered whatever has been discussed in these two verses. If anybody has any questions, realization, comments, we can take at this time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
I have a comment, no question.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji, for this wonderful class. So I think the example that you took about that the objective to find our root, and you took example of father, grandfather, grandfather, and at the most we know about our grandfather, great grandfather, and just by name. So just to that scenario, I just would like to add another angle. So actually every birth that we take, our father changes and our grandfather also changes. So really there is no eternal father. I mean, if we go with the bodily connection, so if we ask this question every birth, our answer will be different. Who will be our father, who will be the grandfather and great grandfather? So if there is an intent to find out what our real root is, then by going this bodily connection or hierarchy, it may not help. I think it will not help. But I think the point is understanding the real root, that is, we are Mama Unshe, I think you said it, we are the part and parcel of Krishna. That's where you identify the real you, meaning I think as a sadhaka, identify the real root. And I think that is the right process to get to the root, rather than going by the bodily relationship, because that's anyway changing by every birth. And who knows, next birth we may not be even human. it is depends, right? So that is something I would like to add, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. So I have given the example of Chitraketu's son. Have you heard that, Prabhu? So there, Chitraketu's son, when he was got life for some time from Narada Muni's blessings. So he spoke this, right? He said that we do not know which parents you're talking. In front of his parents, but he was born of Chitraketu Maharaj, and he was saying, which parents you're talking about? I had millions of parents. So I think that is truly said that we cannot, can everybody please go on mute? So we cannot identify with that, but here Prabhupada mentions that fathers and fathers. So we have to reach to some point. So Brahma is the original first living entity, or is the father for us, or grandfather, and Krishna is the great grandfather. In mention, I think in the 10th chapter, it's a great grandfather, and grandfather is Brahma. So like that. So yeah, I think you have rightly said, and so covered that. Anybody else has anything to say, Pyare Prabhu Jiva Mataji or any other Vaishnavas here? So we can hear their realization or anything which you want to add. Okay, if nobody has any question and comment, today we have Jai Radhe Mataji with us, and today her birthday is there. So we will sing a song for Jai Radhe Mataji. Nand Gopal Prabhu, I would like to sing a song for Mataji.
Hare Krishna to
to
you. Hare
Hare
Krishna to
you.
you. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
dear
dear
Jai
Jai
Radhe
Radhe Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
to
to
you.
you.
May you never
Never
take birth
birth
again.
again. May
May
you
you
never
never
take
take birth
birth
again.
again. May
You
you never
never take
take
birth
birth
again.
again.
Go back
Go
home,
back
back
to
to
Godhead.
Godhead.
Go back
Back
home,
home, back
back
to
to
Godhead.
Godhead. Go
Go
back
back
home,
home,
back
back
to
to
Godhead.
Are you one? Are you two?
Time. Thank you all very much. That was very touching. As you might know, it's kind of a hard birthday since it's the first one since my mom passed away. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh,
I understand.
yeah, we all understand.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe, yeah.
Radhe, Radhe.
Right.
Jai Radhe.
Your mom's benefiting from your devotional service.
I hope so.
Yes.
Because of you, she has a bright future. Yes.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Everybody
Oh,
All
glories.
goes
for her.
All glories to Jai Radhe.
All glories to Mataji's garland service to Nitya Jagannath Baldeva Subhadramai.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Go
Vancha
back to
kalpa
Godhead and make
Sarvasya kripa.
Kripa sindhu
Sindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Thank you everybody for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.